Is it fair to say that perhaps if the royal family had been more aware of just how hurt and angry the Sussexes were, and what allegedly occurred within the palace, there would have been some way to prevent this from going public? I'm pretty sure they knew how awful she was going to be. Why have an intel policing system tracking people and organizations that are going to do harm to Britain or the royal family, and not have her investigated? They knew that what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, and she had the race card tattooed on her forehead from the get-go. Who starts a moment-to-moment video diary from day one, even so far as to snoop around your intended and his family's home? There was really only one thing that she really wanted, and it was something she could never have: Queen Elizabeth's crown. What a coup that would have been. The royal family succumbing so drastically to blackmail. The royal family had to draw a line in the sand. There was nothing, absolutely nothing the royal family could have done to prevent Meghan's agenda. Have you ever thought that Harry obviously wanted out, and this was his chance to blame the pressure Meghan supposedly experienced? He deliberately didn't prepare her in any way for life as a royal, and she spent no time herself in preparation. Meghan didn't realize that life in the spotlight as a royal would be different from what she knew about Hollywood celebrity pressures. When she did realize, rather than stepping back and regrouping, taking proffered advice, and so on, she decided it wasn't worth the trouble, made her excuses, and fled. Harry was only too happy to follow her, quoting his own childhood losses, and above all what he thought as a 12-year-old had happened to Diana. Neither of them has been honest about the real reasons they left, and have since ruthlessly played the victim and blame game. Simply put, neither of them wanted the job. They didn't want the job, but they wanted the things that went with it: money, fame, and respect. Something they've shown no one. They have achieved nothing in America. Hopefully, they are starting to realize they were divided by are not so special after all. Besides, it was clear from the moment they launched their Royal Sussex brand that the couple wanted to commercialize royalty as a brand, that there were going to be significant issues. Whether that was the Duke or the Duchess really is a moot point. However, I would have hoped the Duke would have had the common sense to realize that he would be slapped down by Her Majesty, the Queen. There is another way to answer the question at the beginning of the video. For a start, with Harry's temper tantrums from the minute he met Meghan, the silly proclamation of his disappointment at how his girlfriend was supposedly being hounded, to Meghan's manifold tears over Charlotte's dress, and so on. The royal family was fully aware that something was awry with the histrionic pair. All over royal palaces, neurotypical workers must have been rolling their eyes and stifling their giggles. However, the main reason why this was all going public sure can be seen when Meghan gave Oprah the nod pre-wedding, as Meghan told us that she couldn't agree to an interview yet. Meghan was busy cataloging all possible insults: the infernal bridesmaid dress, Catherine's reluctance to lend lip gloss, and adding a few from her imagination: the confiscation of her passport, the racist rejection of her unborn son, to heir in some form ASAP. With her fixation on being a princess victim, there is no way she wouldn't have wanted to evoke Diana publicly, and the sooner the better. How was Meghan to know that the pitch fest would result in her losing her incipient fake friendships with Hillary, Michelle, Amal, and even, it seems, Oprah? How could she have guessed that so many would question her colorful Hans Andersen-inspired fables? It seems in their sick minds we are sick, they are normal. They will continue with royal family lies and hate. Harry is as sick as her. They feed off each other. Just sad. Life is too short for this crap. They think the world loves them, and maybe they do, but I don't. And now they are going to Canada, and being a Canadian, they can stay away. Clearly, the royal family is a non-profit business. They fund themselves with money that was separated from the government back in the 13th and 14th centuries. One trust takes care of the monarch, and the other, the heir. That one was removed in Edward III's time. If they got rid of their monarchy, those funds have already been separated, and you will not get those back. I would like someone who understands the legalities better to comment. Every real estate holding would probably stay with Parliament that was not in their personal name. That is what happened to David. He had this spiffy little bachelor party pad that he lost. Charles lives there now, when he gave up the throne for Wallace. The crown jewels belong to the country, but there are a lot of major individual pieces they could probably produce enough provenance to keep. They are the royal family, and there will be historical mentions and later photos. All this is to say that this is their job, duty, and reason for existing. Their family is built on duty to the country. They sacrifice a lot of their personal ambitions and interests because of that. And Harry knew this. Then we get into alleged. The Sussex is a lot like Trump. Lots of allegations with no credible proof. Diana made a mental health professional Harry's godmother. Their hands were so broken that they could not pick up a phone. No, they knew their job. It was just not sufficient to Meghan's ambition. This was always going to happen, because Meghan created problems, ran away, and acted like a victim. It is all falling down on them, because neither is really interested in working for a living. You cannot blame the royal family for their lack of qualifications to do much else. What you can possibly blame them for is not letting out Harry's mental health problems before this. They were obviously there, and the royal family covered most of them up. Only the really tone-deaf ones we learned about. So Harry had a tough hand, regardless of the money. So many other kids have survived so much worse, and made a success of themselves. The entitlement is strong with those two. The impression I got from what was said in the Oprah interview was that she wanted to be admitted on an inpatient basis for help, and there was pushback on that. They were trying to go through the palace's human resources office. I do believe that if that had happened, the media would have quickly found out, and it would have become an instant worldwide news story that would have complicated matters. That is unfortunate, and I do think the royal family should have internal contacts to help navigate those kinds of matters under the radar. The Queen had personal physicians who went to her on a home visit basis. I wondered why Harry couldn't have spoken to someone to come to them and make an evaluation and a plan, the Queen's physician, or Meghan's obstetrician or gynecologist, or a trusted physician of one of the other immediate family members. Perhaps William's private secretary might have been able to make the right contacts. For that matter, Catherine was hospitalized multiple times during her pregnancy. What if they had taken Meghan to the hospital and then just lied to the press about the reason? I don't know. Harry twice refused to meet with his grandmother, the Queen, before he left the UK. He then went on international TV to lie about what happened. He's not a child. He's a middle-aged man who has had mental health help for the majority of his life, but everybody else is to blame for his unhappiness and dishonesty. That's like saying a psychopath isn't to blame for what they do, but somebody else is. Harry knew exactly what he was doing. If they are really fed up with everything, they will grab all their gear, slam the door in everyone's face, and be done with it. Just getting out of there and starting a new life. Going public for money, however, is a planned scheme to enrich themselves on a misery, which does require hyping up to becoming an ideal sales object. This can be seen as the first step in moving away from the absolute truth. The media, giving them a platform, hoping for great profits into their pockets, can be accused of having become an ancillary to that scheme. The way certain media outlets are flogging the story can be taken as an indicator of how thick the lies are pasted on. As mentioned before, if the Sussex mob was serious about their escape from royalty, they would have scraped their wealth together, moved to an African country to participate in a lowered lifestyle in a local development aid project, and shown everyone in a passive way what kind of life they are preferring. It would have impressed a lot more people than they are trying to gain with this dirt-slinging tantrum while living in luxury from media loot. Well, that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching our video, and I want to know what you think about these issues. Please express your opinion in the comments below. Hope you will always be cheerful and happy. Don't forget to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos.